Before you make any changes in the way you've structured your music business, you need to take a step back and make sure that you are optimizing your communication skills. Your level of conviction and your confidence will actually allow you to make these changes if you are considering restructuring your music business. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you why it's important to take a pause and to reassess how you communicate the value of what you do before you make any moves in sharing any changes with your existing clients or potential new clients. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana Claure. And in today's episode, I'm going to share why elevating your communication skills is one of the most important things that you need to focus on before you try making any changes to restructure your music teaching business or any area of what you're doing as a musician, music educator, entrepreneur. Before you make changes, you need to elevate how you communicate the value of what you do. Otherwise, you're going to face resistance, you're going to potentially face rejection. And it's not because of the new invention of what you're trying to do, your new structure, your new model. It's simply because of your leadership, your lack of conviction, and lack of communication skills. So I want to share with you some strategies in today's episode that will allow you to prevent misinterpreting any resistance or rejection that you may be facing from your current network, your current potential clients, or even your existing students, and instead recognize that it all starts with you. As we jump in, the first thing I want to share is if you've been following this episode, this podcast series, chances are you're looking into maybe restructuring your business so that you don't have to continue trading your time for money. And you can find ways to monetize your time, your knowledge, your expertise, your life's experience without having to be face to face with your clients every second of the day. And if that's where you're at and you're wondering how can you start making these shifts, one of the things I want to caution you is that you need to look at how your communication skills are actually properly reflecting the value of what you're doing. And I hear so many times from musicians that, you've tried to take these steps and you've tested around the concept, maybe even shared with your existing clients the possibility of restructuring your music business or offering your services in a new way, and you faced rejection, you faced resistance. And immediately you just come to the conclusion that it's because people don't want what you're trying to do, right? Or it's not appealing enough, or it's not valuable enough, even. And it's not that. I'm here to tell you that it's not that. It is simply that you're not understanding how to effectively communicate the value of what you're trying to do and come to your clients or potential clients with a feeling of certainty and conviction, energy that is going to inspire them to follow your leadership. When that's lacking, then yes, chances are you are going to come to the conversation with potential clients and they're going to say no. And you're not going to realize that the reason why they're saying no is not because there's no value or that they don't understand it. It's simply that you are not bringing that level of confidence and conviction that they need in order to follow your leadership. So let's take a step back and understand what is leadership and why do I refer to this as leadership instead of just communications or sales. Leadership is you being able to share a vision of where you want to go and be able to rally people around you. Leadership is being able to be part of something bigger than you and to inspire people who could either be collaborators, sponsors, clients, people who can refer other people to you, but have that energy and conviction of rallying people towards the same goals and vision and mission that you are trying to create. That's what leadership can do. But when it comes to changing the way you're working, because you've been doing things for so long, if you're like most of the musicians that have been trained to trade their time for money, whether it's looking for more one-on-one students, looking for more gigging opportunities, looking for more ways to work while you're having to trade your time, this is all you know. This is what's familiar. This type of working structure is what you've done all your life, whether it's working in some sort of a school or academy, right? So it's normal for you to have a level of uncertainty and lack of clarity when you're considering branching out into a different way of working. And so that's normal. However, if you don't learn how to improve your communication skills and put yourself in an energetic frequency of certainty and conviction and energetic clarity, then it will be really difficult for you to inspire and your leadership skills to rally those around you because you don't have that for yourself, right? And so before you even try talking about what you're considering doing, and hopefully if you are listening to this episode, you're considering changing the way you work and looking into adopting a model that gives you more freedom, that gives you more leverage, like what we have built in this podcast and in all the work I've been doing for so many years, how to change the way you work so that you don't have to be so committed with your time. And instead, you could build an online platform where you can create videos and interact with your clients in a weekly group session and have different ways of supporting them without having to be face to face with them 100% of the time. If you're considering making these types of changes in the way you're working, there will be a point where you need to share that with your clients. There will be a point where you need to share that with potential new clients. And the good news is that right now, chances are you have the most available warm audience in your environment. If you've not done this yet, you have the highest probability of getting people to become early adopters of your new model because you have a high level of trust. People know you. Even if they haven't seen you doing this type of work, they know you from what you've been doing all your life. Therefore, you do not necessarily need to find brand new clients to come into your offer. You can actually start with the people who already know, like, and trust you, believe it or not. And the problem with that, though, is that if you don't understand how to effectively explain to people what you're creating, why this change is going to be potentially a better offer for your clients, not just something that will give you more time, location, and financial freedom, but also will actually help save your clients time and getting results faster, then if you don't know how to communicate that, then people will actually create a resistant energy towards the change because it's normal. As human beings, we are naturally wired to not want change, to want to stay with what's familiar. This is part of our programming, if you will, as a species. It's a sense of self-preservation, right? And so you need to know that the natural response when you involve change will be potentially resistance, rejection. So you have to prepare for that and learn how to inspire people to be willing to follow your leadership and take that next step, whether it is upgrading their current way of working with you into this new model or making any sort of change in the way you were working before and being open to working in this new way, whether or not you raise your prices. If you only go from changing the structure of how you were working, let's say you are a one-on-one teacher and you were working through lots of one-on-one lessons every single week and you change to maybe twice a month or even once a month in like one-on-one and the rest you change into a online model, right? Where there's more weekly group interactions online. It's more of a hybrid component. Whatever change you're considering making, it will require a conversation. Ideally, you do not want to just send a mass email announcement, make it a very distant, cold process. I recommend you look into having direct, personal, one-on-one conversations with each of the clients that you're going to be making this change so that they can understand the context and you can explain to them that this is going to be a new way of working that will be in their greatest benefit and give them the context for why you're making the change. As human beings, we like to understand the why behind the what. And when you are considering making any changes, rather than just sharing with your clients or potential clients that this is the way you're now going to work, people want to understand the backstory, the context, the background, if you will, of where that evolution came from, especially if you've been doing things for so many years, probably decades, in a different way. How did you make that change? Why did that happen to you now? What is drove you to make that change, right? And it's not that you have to justify yourself. I don't want you to see it as that, but it is an important part of the conviction process to be able to give people the context for what this change is all about and why you're considering making that change. Hey, real quick, if you've been looking for a blueprint on how to build, grow, and scale your online music business fast, I want to invite you to check out my online music business blueprint that will allow you to be able to get the most condensed version of the framework I've been using for so many years, helping musicians package their knowledge, build businesses in alignment with their values and lifestyle goals, and do so without trading their time for money. Check out this incredible resource. I cannot wait to see what you think. Now let's get back to our conversation. So being able to create that backstory, that context, and in the work I do with musicians, we have a process called SMS, which is strategic messaging statement. And this is something that we really feel is important to precede any change announcement in the way you work, because people need to get the background story. What is it about your current situation? And what is it about your past that brought you to this moment? Why are you now considering making this change in the way you work? What's the motivation behind it? And the good news is that, yes, you don't need to hide the fact that it will bring in a lot more freedom for you in terms of time, but also freedom in terms of ability to earn and freedom in terms of location. Because if you have this type of model, you're not physically needing to be present all the time with your clients. You can create ways where they can get value without having to be face to face with you, right? So yes, there's nothing wrong in sharing that, but at the same time, just like you're going to get your time back, so will your clients. If you understand how this model works. And if you don't, then definitely reach out to us because we're happy to explain this in more depth. And of course, everything I'm talking about in this episode and this podcast series in general goes into this in many ways, right? But the basic line, the basic premise is that this model gives you a chance to give your clients feedback throughout the week versus them having to only wait where they are face to face interacting with you. So there's no question that if you can explain to your clients how this new way of working will get them results faster, that in and of itself is a new value add because everyone wants to win back their most precious resource, which is time. And if your work can help compress time for your clients, that adds incredible value. The key, though, is being able to communicate it effectively and to learn how to lead the people around you into the vision of who you are becoming and what your business is evolving into. So, in order for you to be effective in this process, you need to be able to create that backstory, sharing with your audience in your network through social media, through emails, through any sort of way that you can reach out to your community. You want to share with them the why behind the what. Why are you considering making this change in your business? What is driving your desire? And what are the motivations and the awakenings that you've experienced that gave you that realization? Without necessarily throwing rocks at your old way of working. I don't think you need to just totally dismantle what you had been doing, but it is amazing for people to see that you are in a growth process and that you're learning things and that you're evolving and that you have a way of adapting to the needs and the current times that we're in and taking advantage of the innovation that's available to you. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that actually positions you as a thought leader, as someone who's constantly forward facing, looking into growth, looking into momentum building, right? And so being able to openly say, I discovered a better way and I'm excited to do this. And this is why. And being able to share that without feeling that it's going to portray you in any sort of negative way, quite the contrary, and not being afraid of how people will react. And in fact, saying, I cannot wait to share more about this. And this is where I'm headed. This is the way I'm going to be working now. And I would love to be able to give you an opportunity to be a part of this new momentum, this new evolution of my business, and sharing it to them with this sense of conviction of like, this is where I want to be, this is why, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. If you understand how to communicate your evolution in this way, chances are you're going to have a much easier time getting people to say yes and being willing to open their experience and their time and their investment in your new evolution of your business because you're leading them from a place of clarity, certainty, and conviction. Without that, I want to encourage you to not take those steps. If you find yourself that you do not have that level of certainty in your heart and you're feeling afraid, you're feeling unsure, you're not really clear on how to communicate that, I would recommend you don't take those steps. You wait until you can either get the resources that you need to understand better how this model will work, look for the support that you may need, find yourself what you need to feel that energetic confidence before you take these steps. Because I've seen this happen way too many times that musicians try to take some premature steps in sharing their ideas with their audience without having that internal level of clarity and conviction. And because they're unsure, they convey an energy of insecurity and fear. And they present their offers to their clients from this place of like, hey, do you want to do this? I've been thinking about doing this new way and working in this new way. What do you think? And even asking their clients, what do you think? Is this something you would want to try? And almost like asking for permission instead of sharing the exciting news and being able to map out a plan for your clients and show them the way, lead them into the next evolution of their relationship with you. Now, I've seen way too many times clients asking for permission and approaching this from a place of doubt and insecurity. And obviously, when you offer your new program in this way, chances are people will say no. And you're going to interpret that resistance or rejection as a sign that this isn't for you or that this isn't for your clients and that your clients just don't want to do it. And you're going to give up. And that's the worst thing that could happen because believe me, it doesn't have to be that way. You just have to take ownership and be willing to optimize your communication skills, your sales skills, and then say, what could I do to improve the way I present this to my clients? And if you're finding yourself sharing this with clients and getting a ton of no's, stop. Don't keep going. Reach out for help because trust me, I've seen this happen way too many times. In fact, one of our clients, Diego, we did an episode with him in this series. So you could look up Diego Alonso in our series here in our podcast. And he actually had this exact experience, and he was already working with us as a client. Like, we were actually guiding him. He was in our program when he started presenting his new program to his clients, going through some of the trainings, but he hadn't really gone in depth in terms of understanding the exact process. He had understood basically some of the high level strategies, and he started just informally offering his new model. He went from teaching hourly guitar lessons into teaching an online group program. And he started presenting it to his clients in a very, I guess, casual way, informal way, and with a lack of clarity way. And his first 3 or 4 clients said no to him back to back. Like, all of them rejected it. And he didn't really understand why. But because we were in his world, he was able to come back and say, people are saying no to me. What am I doing wrong? He knew that there was something off in the way he was approaching the process. He didn't just interpret it as a sign to retreat and to just go back to his old ways. He knew that this had already worked for so many other people just like him, and he knew that he was missing something. So he came back to us, and we were able to troubleshoot and see, what were the areas of the conversations that he was not explaining clearly enough and not presenting with the right framework, right? And by looking deeper, one of the things that came up was that he wasn't really emphasizing the need for the solution. He was just talking about the benefits and just sharing it from a place of excitement, but not really giving people the context of the why. Why did he make this change? What was the reason that motivated him to reinvent his studio? And in which way was that going to actually help his clients solve a problem that he identified? So when he made that change, when he was able to restructure the way he presented this proposal to his students, all of a sudden they all started saying yes to him. Yes, 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 yes. And I think he got like 8 yeses in a row. And since then, he's built his business in an incredibly successful way because he was willing to take a step back, to pause, to reassess how was he even having that conversation with his clients. And then from there, to be able to say, maybe I have to change. Maybe it's not the program. Maybe it's not my clients. Maybe it's me. So I want to encourage you to make sure that before you try to talk about any sort of change in your business with your existing audience, your existing clients, that you are absolutely feeling supported and clear and certain that you can create this, and you are clear and you have that energy of conviction and leadership. And if you start testing it out and you start seeing resistance and rejection, I want to encourage you not to think that this is not possible for you, or that your clients are not ready for it, or that they don't want it. And instead, I want to empower you to realize, wait a minute, maybe this is happening to me too, just like it happened to Diego. And it's happened to so many people that Fabiana mentioned in her podcast. I want to encourage you to pause, to take a step back, and to be willing to look at your skills and ask yourself, where are my communication skills? Where in my leadership am I lacking conviction? Am I lacking certainty? Am I lacking clarity? And if you need help, of course, reach out to us. You can connect with us. We would be happy to help you optimize this. This is what we do every single day, and helping musicians not just build, grow, and scale their businesses, but actually improve the way they talk about it, the way they share it, the way they lead their clients and their team. So I look forward to hearing from you. I hope this has been helpful. There's lots of different nuggets of wisdom that I'm sharing in this episode, but of course, there's a lot more to talk about. I could be talking about this for days. It's one of my favorite topics when it comes to helping musicians create prosperity, elevating your leadership, elevating your communication skills. So remember, you don't have to go through this alone. Remember, you have so many people that right now would love to do this with you. All we need is for you to make sure that you are confident, that you have certainty, and that you have conviction. And that is not something you just have. That is something you can build. It is a skill just like music and everything else. You can create that. You can develop that through taking the right steps. I hope this was helpful. And if you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help us connect with more musicians around the world, please leave us a review. Help us reach more musicians. And of course, if you would need any additional help, reach out to us, book your call through the link in the show notes. I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, let's prosper together.